Hi, everyone, and welcome to Moving Forward. My name is Ann Simonton, and Santa Cruz is one of the most expensive places to live in the United States. And some lists even claim it as the most expensive in the world. The median income per household in Santa Cruz is close to $80,000 a year, which is used to claim affordability. Far too many households and people are being left out of this quotient. Today, we'll be discussing the need for transitional housing in as an emergency stopgap between the streets and one's own home. We'll start with a short video produced by one of our guests, Brent Adams. Let's take a look.
In Santa Cruz, as in many West Coast cities, there's been an overnight outdoor sleeping ban for several decades, as well as countywide anti-lodging laws, preventing the setting up of tents or even sleeping in a doorway overnight. Simultaneously, homelessness has increased since the 80s. Without simple shelter to meet the demand, many thousands have been criminalized because of these laws. Recently, there's been a Supreme Court case challenging the validity of such laws, forcing cities to suspend them. In addition to this, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, government and health officials have instituted shelter-in-place requirements that have allowed people to reside in tents. We've now seen a proliferation of homeless tent encampments. In an effort to reduce the negative effects of large camps and local parkland, local governments have operated managed encampments with hired security and gate monitors. These camps have brought order to the sometimes chaotic nature of homelessness for many. Some drawbacks to these camps are that they're expensive and short-lived, and they may seem to affirm the perpetual homelessness of camp residents. After a repeating of these camps, it's time to explore something different, reflecting the best practices of successful database programs elsewhere. Transitional encampments offer cost-efficient, independent, and mutually empowering shelter. They're wildly successful in cities in the Northwest because they create a supportive community within while improving the community at large.
Here we are in Eugene.
In Eugene, there's a permit process allowing nonprofits and churches to operate managed encampments according to guidelines that determine how they're operated and designed.
In Seattle,
they're so successful at healing lives that the city and county stopped fighting them and now fund most of their budget and has placed them on their property. Rather than plopping camps in neighborhoods without consent, the process now includes neighborhoods. If things go wrong, the nonprofit is responsible and the contract won't be renewed, so there's incentive to get it right. These spaces feature a boundary fence and front gate staffed round the clock. Residents walk patrols in the neighborhood and even at night, cleaning up trash similar to the downtown streets team. Crime goes down wherever these programs exist. Camp residents sign a residency agreement that includes basic values like no violence or theft and adherence to quiet hours, in addition to rules against alcohol or drugs. These are spaces in which individuals can explore sobriety with support and daily meaningful work. Rather than paying people $25 an hour to sit at the gate, camp residents do this as a function of their weekly service. Encampment residents become responsible for the safe operation of their space and are invested in each other's success as they hold each other accountable for individual actions. There's a casework program with targeted goals. A grievance procedure is used to resolve conflicts, and there are regular in-camp community meetings. The main thing is getting people to realize that they can be agents of their own healing as they help to support each other toward their goals. The data is clear. People transition to better circumstances at a higher rate. The key with all of this is building community within as we strengthen the greater community. It's likely that homeless encampments are here to stay. It'll become increasingly important for us to begin doing encampments better and more cost-efficient. The transitional encampment is our best chance at this.
Let's start the discussion with 1st District Supervisor Manu Koenig. Welcome, Manu, and thank you for joining us and sharing your work that you'll be doing at the county level with Supervisor McPherson.
Thank you, Ann, for having me.
Sure. Great. So go ahead, and you have time then to talk about your proposals that you'd like to share with us.
Great. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today and to talk about this issue. Being fresh off the campaign trail, I can tell you that homelessness is the #1 local issue for voters today. I heard that over and over again. I also want to emphasize that homelessness right now is really an emergency issue because we are expecting the expiration of a lot of the shelters that were set up with COVID relief funds to be coming imminently. And that's nearly 500 people who are housed or at least sheltered in those facilities today. And so in addition to the homelessness that we're seeing on our streets today, we could be dealing with an influx of about 500 people in the very near term if we don't, and we need to start preparing for that and creating alternatives. And then, finally, I think as Brent's video made clear, we really need an all hands on deck approach that is going to enable lots of people to contribute to the solution. And so, having taken office just over a month and a half ago, and this being a top priority, I started looking at, all right, well, what can we do really quickly, with the emergency response that this deserves? And some of my colleagues suggested, well, we could put something in and consider it in the June budget, right? So for those of you who don't know, the county sets its budget in June for the next fiscal year. And that's just way too long, right? So we need to be looking at solutions that are not going to require immediate funds from the county, but do create a framework for people to participate. So with all that is to say that the proposal that I'll be bringing forward, it looks like now at the March 9th meeting of the Board of Supervisors, is going to create a process where any organization can apply to create a housing community. We're still looking at exactly where that might be allowed, but I can give you for an example that Sacramento, which has a similar ordinance, allowed it on public facility zone parcels, commercial parcels, and industrial parcels. I'm also going to propose that we make county property available to any operator to create a housing community like this, and set an immediate goal of creating 120 new housing units, temporary housing units by June. Now that's not nearly enough, but we also want something that's achievable so that we build momentum to success.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And next we'll be hearing from Brent Adams, who is the Executive Director of Footbridge Services, at a program he wants to share his policy ideas that would allow nonprofits and churches to be able to run and manage transitional encampments. Thanks so much, Brent.
Santa Cruz County is kind of locked in a funding paradigm that seems a little tone deaf to street homelessness, despite the intentions of HUD, Housing First, Homeless Action Partnership, focus strategies, et cetera. Homelessness is going to be with us in the most challenging ways in the future, regardless of unit construction. We as a city, a county, and even the country are not doing mental health and substance use disorder very well, effectively at all. In fact, our economic focus also is pretty much leaving us in the dust. I think homelessness, as Manu says, is going to be mushrooming out of control. We really need the community to have the ability to participate in this, because what we've seen is the city and the county taking the large roles here, and they're doing a great job with this COVID shelter. We've seen them doing these managed encampments. This permit process that's in Eugene and Seattle is really what we want to highlight, allowing a nonprofit fiscal sponsor, a fiscal entity, to operate under a permit to run an encampment, not unlike the city and the county have recently done. And I want to give a quick example of what our nonprofit has been doing recently. I'm not trying to advocate for a nonprofit here. I really just want to have any church or a nonprofit, and even as in Eugene, a community group, to operate some of these spaces, because they're not expensive. So it doesn't have to really be about finances. We've been able to, in a camp nearby, we've been bringing out as many as 20 large garbage cans every single week, and we vastly improved our entire neighborhood here just by engaging in this process rather than shutting them out, as some of the other homeless programs have done. We've seen with the homeless communities around them. We've taken it a full responsibility and have been working. Also, we've established this thing called the agreement camp concept, which basically is, I'll paraphrase, we want to be good neighbors as people who sleep outside. We don't want to trespass on private property. We don't want to steal from our neighbors. No theft in this space, no violence in this space, and no open use of substances. We just want to be talking about this to change the culture of people who sleep outside from the worst culture of all to something that everyone can support. Also, we've been as cities and counties have been engaged in these homeless sweeps, pushing people out of places, really with no concept for the large number of people we're displacing, just making things ever worse, ever worse. So we need a camp displacement policy that would state where people can go to, how will they get there, and how will they behave once they get there. And we would like to assert this, this new agreement concept is the best way. And to finish very quickly, we've established an agreement camp in Harvey West Park. Thank you. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can keep
Over 3 minutes.
let's go on with this. But our third guest, I'm very happy to have our Santa Cruz City Council member, currently Sandy Brown, who's going to offer a vital perspective on steps that are needed to accommodate the growing homeless situation in Santa Cruz. Welcome, Sandy.
It's good to be here. And actually, I really want to hear what Brent, what you wanted to say to finish up. So I'll try to be quick here and give you some extra time. So I'm really glad to hear from Supervisor Koenig and Mr. Adams that there are, really positive efforts moving forward right now. And, I don't want to spend my time talking too much about the negative, and my pessimism, but having been involved in these issues for, 25 years now in Santa Cruz, I have seen the same policy approach, which is, an enforcement only approach to addressing our unhoused community members. And it is, it's not worked. And we just continue to do the same thing over and over. And I don't understand how our city, I'm talking about the city here, our city leadership can expect to just double down on the same policies that or program, really non-program that hasn't worked, and expect a different outcome. So I am really heartened to hear that there's some potential with community partners and with the county here. I think with some of the things that the city needs to be doing, rather than focusing so much energy on how to create rules and laws that will get around the kind of legal challenges that we have faced as a community and many communities about displacing people. We know that when people have some stability and they have access to basic hygiene, waste management, and have some sense of dignity, that when people's lives stabilize, there's a lot more potential to improve their lives, to improve the situation, and to improve our communities' overall quality of life. And what we have been doing is in no way supports that. So I want to say that the city really needs to, so what we need is the political will, which we currently don't have. I'm just going to say it. And we need to start dedicating resources, not simply to, crafting new ordinances and, overtime for police to move people around, or camp cleanups when they get busted up. We need to use our resources for that basic stuff, basic hygiene, waste management, providing some safe spaces, allowing groups like Brent Adams' group, like Footbridge, to do that work. The associated faith communities have also been, communicating with us. They do a great parking program, and they would be willing to expand that and perhaps take on new locations where there are the resources. It doesn't really take that much money to move in that direction. We need to do it now, and we need our community to step up and demand that our city leadership do that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Manu, if you could just let us know a little bit more about actual steps that the county's going to be taking, because often we hear about these, tiny houses or these lands, but there's very little transparency about money being spent, especially in the city.
So I just want to highlight something that Brent pointed out, which is that the funding streams that address homelessness are incredibly complicated, and have to be applied by all of these really obscure federal formulas often. And so, yes, we're going to be looking at ways to increase funding for these kind of temporary housing and shelters, but we, I think, in the short term, we can see what we can do just with, even without funding, right? With like the property, as I've said, that the county has. If the rest of the board approves the proposal I bring forward in early March on the 9th, then what we would do is move forward with crafting an ordinance within the next month that allows any operator, as Brent was saying, could be an organization like a church or other neighborhood community, to basically apply to create a housing community. And there'd be an administerial permit. So, basically the lightest weight permitting process that we can create. And, we'd really be looking to make sure that they're creating that community based on some of the, basically on guidelines, as Brent suggested. And so that would be, sort of the legal chunk of it. And again, we want it to be as lightweight as possible, but to have, something, some kind of process there. And then the second piece will be directing folks in the Housing for Health new division created at the county that is mostly focused on homelessness, to review any county property that we can make available for these kind of housing communities. So that's the second piece of it. And then, I think that's enough that we can get to work. I know that I myself have some faith-based organizations in the 1st District that are trying to create tiny homes for people experiencing homelessness. And right now, our planning department is saying, sorry, we don't have a process for that. We really don't have the ability to do that. So I want to create, again, the lightest weight legal framework for them to do that, and then go get it done, so that we have an example and we can, in our community, in our county, that we can point to and say, hey, this is working here. Now, how can we expand this program to serve the many, many people who are in dire need?
Okay, thank you so much, Manu. Brent, let's give you some more time to go ahead and finish what you were saying and add any other thoughts that you have.
Manu, I think we're all very heartened to hear what you're saying here. The word housing gets me lost, but I'm on board. We've already created the most lightest way possible an encampment concept, which is, as I said, the agreement camp out in Harvey West Park. We just wanted to rescue some of the people who are inundated with some of the more aggressive elements of these other camps. The Felker Street camp behind Tannery and San Lorenzo. We brought some of the people who didn't want to be in those spaces. They weren't part of the culture. And we brought them according to the basic agreements. This is what the agreements look like. You can find it on warmingcenterprogram.com. And they've been over there for as long as 3 months, doing so successfully now that the city has brought 3 porta potties, a dumpster, and they've been over there without complaint. And now the AFC has brought the shower trailer. So they have a basic set of agreements and basic infrastructure and a very tidy camp. So I'm really happy to report that. These things don't really have to cost money. A lot of these organizations, like the Warming Center, we would raise what we think is the $50,000 startup fee for infrastructure. If we had the space and the participation with the county or the city, that they're not going to send the police, we would actually develop that again based on strict guidelines as they've done in Eugene and Seattle. That's how we would do it, because we've been studying that for quite a while, and we believe in that evidence-based approach.
Sandy, what could you add to this, and also, anything that they've brought up?
Sure. Yeah, I really want to try to focus on what I've heard Manu and Brent saying, because I think that, Brent we looked at the community agreements camp policy, the ordinances that had been adopted in Seattle and Eugene. And I really wanted to move forward at the city with that approach. Unfortunately, we, for multiple reasons that I don't want to get into here, were unable to move forward with that at the time. And so I think that that the city actually designating places where, as Brent said, we will allow for community organizations to operate and manage it. And I believe that we actually do have the funding. I mean, as Manu suggests, the programming funding for houselessness is very convoluted and very restrictive. However, we could, with a very minimal general fund, allocation, we could provide enough of a baseline of support to really help move those programs forward. And so I think that yes, it's hard with the funding, but I think that really it is a matter of just finding space and just again, the political will. We are in a whole world of trouble with our city public finances, but we still find money for consultants and $50,000 here and and so really we could find a small amount of money even in these hard times, and especially now we need it right now. And I would urge you all to, once the city council meeting agenda comes out, to take a look. We will be getting a set of what I would consider to be punitive, I haven't seen them, but relatively punitive ordinance changes called outdoor living ordinances. And they're intended to further criminalize homeless people. And it's just not the approach we should be taking. So please take a look and weigh in.
I heard that's gonna be at your next Tuesday meeting.
Yeah, I heard about it because there were community members sending messages about with language from saying, support the language of the ordinance. I haven't even seen it yet. It hasn't been made public. So I'm a little disturbed about that too. I'll leave it there. Yeah, it's 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll make sure people get the heads up on that one, Sandy, because I know you need support for trying to add some compassion to this situation that doesn't seem to be forthcoming from some of the other members on the city council currently. But our final question today would just be to ask each of you, what is the biggest obstacle that you see for the solution to make lives better for people living on the street? And how might viewers help support these solutions?
For me, I think it's political will. We need our elected officials to hear from people who share these commitments and understand that a compassionate approach is the way to actually meaningfully address these issues. So political will, that is the key. And then I think some limited resources. So helping me advocate for that would be great. I'll leave it there.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much. And then Manu, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, sure. I'll echo what Sandy says. I mean, it's always, I'm only one vote on the board, and I can, under the Brown Act, can only work with one other supervisor on any proposal. So, that's less than a majority of the board, so it's not enough to pass a vote. So we do need community advocacy if you want to see programs like this passed. It is going to be the March 9th meeting, and we'll definitely publicize once the agenda is out and the written proposal is available for review by members of the public as well. I think I would add to that and I think Brent can build on this. We see a lot of pushback against ideas of creating these kind of encampments or communities at first, and then because they're able to demonstrate that they can be good neighbors and integrate well with the community, that over time we see often a lot of acceptance. And so I guess I would ask people to have an open mind, and B, also think about how you can get involved and be a bridge, from existing neighbors and neighborhoods to work with people who are currently houseless and help them reintegrate and have a community and be that community for them as well. Because I think as Sandy pointed out, we're a lot of what people are suffering from is not a poverty of things or money, but a poverty of relationships. And the more we can help people create those, the better.
That's a beautiful statement. I certainly agree with that. And the political will and the willingness to just give something a try. Sometimes things will fail, and we need to continue to keep trying. So Brent, I know you know a lot about the obstacles to solutions, and also how can people get involved and help out more?
Well, he really nailed it with that poverty of relationships. That really stings, doesn't it? especially during these times. And I say that mainly because what I see as one of the big stumbling blocks for Santa Cruz is kind of the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. We're a protest tendency community. We love to protest. We don't get dirty too many other ways. And homelessness, that'll get you dirty if you get out there and play with the issue. What I mean by dirty is, we want people to be out in these spaces, and what you'll find is it's incredibly enriching, and it'll change your opinion of humanity in general, and it'll improve your belief in humanity. There's a book called The Leftmost City, I believe, and how did we achieve all these amazing progressive things? We've forgotten that we were the leftmost city. We were this incredibly badass city that the entire country would orient to. And I think we need to rekindle that story. We care about each other. The people outside are another version of us that have been left behind. And so everybody to the left of me seems to be, into the protest. And I've made hundreds of new friends in this community just by working and being seen doing some of this work that we do. The warming center, storage, laundry, showers, all this stuff. People really believe it. When we ran out of quarters because there's a national coin shortage, thousands of dollars of coins showed up baggie by baggie out the door, lining up. I couldn't believe it. So it's the support of these programs, service-oriented, not protest, that doesn't really create anything. Let's build something of value. And part of that is we need, Sandy is saying we need, it's a political will. What political will is community support. It's the fuel for that engine. And so Mano's coming up with some really good ideas, and together as a community, let's build a new story.
Thank you so much, Brent. And I thank you all so much for joining us on this important conversation. Clearly not doing our job as individuals. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ann.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for all the work you're doing. And hopefully we can turn the tide on this around the political will. Thanks for bringing that up, Sandy.
Filada